Okay. Good morning and welcome to Tuesday, May 10th, 2022 Board of Supervisors meeting for Calaveras County. At this time, we have one item on the closed session agenda. Clerk, if you could please read out.
Item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, County of Calaveras versus Discornia Ranches Limited Partnership et al., Calaveras County Superior Court Case number 20CV45113.
Is there any public comment?
There is no online public comment.
And seeing that there's no one in the room, we will close for a closed session and be back at the regular agenda at 9 a.m. Good morning and welcome back to the regular board meeting for May 10th, 2022. If you could please stand for the pledge. Earlier, we had a closed session, and at this time, I will turn it over to the clerk for a report out.
Report out for closed session today, May 10th. Item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, County of Calaveras versus Discornia Ranches, Limited Partnership et al., Calaveras County Superior Court Case Number 20CV45113. Board action, no reportable action taken.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I think we need to report out from our last meeting as well.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Report out a closed session from April 22nd or 26th, 2022. Item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, Greer et al. Versus Calaveras County, Calaveras County Superior Court, case number 18CV43460. Board action, no reportable action taken. Item 2, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2, conference with legal counsel, re-anticipated litigation, one case, significant exposure to litigation. Board action, no reportable action taken. Item 3, pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, conference with county designated labor negotiators Krista Bonlata and Judy Hawkins regarding the following employee organizations: Service Employees International Union, SEIU, Local 1021, Sheriff's Management Unit, SMU, Calaveras County Public Safety Employees Association, CCPSEA, Deputy Sheriff's Association, DSA, Calaveras Management Union, Calaveras Supervisors Union, unrepresented employees. Board action, no reportable action taken. Item 4, pursuant to Government Code 54657B1, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, title, County Council. Board action, no reportable action taken. Item 5, pursuant to Government Code 54657B1, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, title, County Administrative Officer. Board action, no reportable action taken.
Thank you. See some new faces up here this morning. Thank you, Sarah. Supervisor Callaway is not able to be with us, but the sheriff will be here for recognition and acknowledgement. But before we get to that, we will be going to staff announcements, and I believe we have Ms. Medina.
Good morning, Madam Chair, respective board members, County Clerk, and administrative staff. Lisa Medina, Environmental Management Agency. This Saturday, we have another by Focus and Animal Service free rabies vaccine and microchip clinic. This is a drive-through clinic for cats and dogs. It will be held from 9 to noon. The attending veterinarian will be Dr. Michael Hayes, so please come and see us. We have several dogs and cats that are adoptable at the shelter right now. For our dogs, we have Cletus, Maya, Bosco, Bruno and Maya, Hank, Rojo, Coda, Samson, Luke, and Xander. We have several kitties that are up for adoption as well, including Sassy, Dot, Thomas, Rumble, Saucy, Sugar, Spice, Natasha, Bonnie, and Sue. Come and see us this Saturday. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other staff announcements?
There's no other staff announcements.
Okay, great. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to recognitions and acknowledgement, and we will start with the proclamation number 2. Clerk, could you please read out?
Item 2, proclamation. Sheriff, adopt a proclamation honoring Corporal Alan Serpa for his 23 years of service to the residents of Calaveras County as a deputy with the Sheriff's Office and congratulating him on his retirement.
And I turn it over to the sheriff.
Hot diggity dog. Glad, Marita, you didn't show up today. Got me on my highlight. Mr. Alan Serpa, this is, I don't know how to do this, so if I'm out of line, let me know. I might add stuff, too. Whereas Alan served our county in the United States Army as a military police officer and correctional counselor from 1995 to 1998. And whereas Alan received numerous commendations, including medals and ribbons, for his military service, including the National Defense Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon, Marksman Expert, Hand Grenade Expert, 9mm Pistol Expert, and M16 Expert. Whereas Alan began working for the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office on June 17, 1998, where he began his career as a correctional officer and later promoted to deputy sheriff and eventually corporal. Whereas Alan was responsible for training numerous new deputy sheriffs in Calaveras County as a field training officer. Whereas Alan worked a variety of assignments within the sheriff's office over the years, including on patrol at Lake Comanche, in the Calaveras Narcotics Enforcement Unit with the Special Enforcement Team, as a background investigator, and as the AB 109 probation liaison. Whereas Alan also served as a detective in the investigation division, where he successfully investigated and solved a variety of criminal cases along with me, his partner, the best partner he ever had. Whereas Alan was a valued member of the SWAT team, dive, rescue, and recovery team, and the bike team. Whereas Alan was responsible and known in the Sheriff's Office for capturing numerous dangerous, wanted subjects over the course of his career. Alan really excelled in investigating and location of wanted suspects, many whom were armed and dangerous, who were difficult to locate and arrest. Whereas Alan was well respected by suspects who committed crimes and engaged in criminal activity, as Alan was known as a street cop who always treated people with respect and fairness. And I got to say, he absolutely did. He got a lot of people that he turned over to me through my career that had nothing but good things to say about Alan, so that's something that he should be very proud of. Whereas Alan also received numerous awards while at the Sheriff's Office, including but not limited to 3 campaign ribbons, 1 unit citation, and a Medal of Merit for recovering stolen property from the Sheriff's Office, as well as the Attorney General's Certificate of Commendation for Acts of Bravery. I will turn it over to Mr. Toffanelli.
Thank you, Sheriff. I think at this time we'll ask Alan or Jim, either one of you have anything you want to say? Or
First, I'd like to thank everybody for being here, for you guys having me here, the administration, my wife, the district attorney, who you need to get a new building for, and obviously everybody that I work with. They supported me and had to put up with me, so I'd like to thank them. And maybe in 2026 you'll see me back, I don't know. Just kidding. So thanks again for everything. It's been a long one.
oh, thank you, Alan. Thank you. I think Jim has something he wants to present.
So we do.
to
We
you.
have a plaque for Alan in recognition of his years of service. So it says, Corporal Alan Serpa, in appreciation for your 23 years of dedicated service and commitment to the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office, June 17th, 1998 to December 31st, 2021. From Sheriff DiVasilio and the staff. Congratulations. A couple quick words about Alan. Want to thank him for his dedicated service to the Sheriff's Office. As mentioned, Alan was a very dedicated, very active deputy sheriff. When he was working, he really enjoyed helping others, and I He excelled at tracking down wanted suspects, as noted in the resolution. He was one of the more proactive deputies we've ever had. He was an excellent training officer in that regard. As mentioned, several people would turn themselves in as soon as they heard Alan was looking for them. Alan knew how to apply pressure to friends and associates, and some of those friends and associates did not want Alan showing up at their house because they perhaps had things in there they didn't want Alan to see. He was also very well liked by outside agencies. He developed a pretty close bond with state parole because they were often working on and looking for the same people. I didn't know when Alan retired he was going to grow a parolee beard, but he's chosen to do that, so I guess there's just there is a fine line there, I think, between law enforcement and the other side. Lastly, I'd like to thank Alan for our personal relationship. The truth is, Alan's always been very respectful to me at work, but he's also the first one to call me on my bullshit, and he's done it without fear, and he's done it with incredible humor. Alan and I have had some pretty good vacations together. We've had cocktails in Manhattan. We've fly fished the salt flats in Florida, and I look forward to spending some more time with him once we're both retired. So thank you.
Don't run away, Alan. We're going to get you up here. Have a seat right there in the front. I got to tell a sheriff's deputy what to do. Is there any public comments at this time?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, CEO of Omnada. My name is Nick Cashy. I'm the unit chief for the CAL FIRE Tuolumne Calaveras unit. I just wanted to come up and, on behalf of CAL FIRE, thank Alan for the great professional partnership. Over the last 15 years, I've worked here in San Andreas. Different levels, fire captain, that's where I first met Alan. I worked in structure fire on Roberts Avenue. I don't know if you remember. That was where I realized that a law enforcement officer could also be an expert in firefighting and a coach to the responding units. With that, in all seriousness, it's been nice as I've gone through my career to the chief officer, knowing guys like Alan are out there keeping our firefighters safe on emergency incidents. We're working close together. So, thank you.
Any other public comment? Barbara, you want to say anything?
Barbara Yu, District Attorney. So personally, being the wife of someone who is retired has been an adjustment. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Someone needs a job. Keeping busy. So if anybody needs a fishing buddy, a shooting buddy, a hunting buddy, someone to help put up fence posts or round up cattle, he's done some of that stuff. You know where to find him. So. And I'm very proud of his service to the county. He's definitely helped make sure we always have an open door. He's encouraged everybody he's trained to, come and ask my deputies if they have a problem with the case. So it's been, a very mutually beneficial professional relationship in that regard to keep that door open. And I've certainly, over the last 25 years, read many police reports. In all objectivity, I gave him a solid A- in his report writing skills. But testifying, probably an A. And you could ask my staff if I'm padding that grade. I don't think so. I think I'm being quite objective in that assessment. But I couldn't be prouder. He's had an excellent career, and he's made it out on the other side. I think with all the changes in law enforcement, it's the perfect time. It's hard. It's hard on law enforcement, and frontline law enforcement especially, and then for the DA's office as well to see some of the changes in all of our efforts being sidelined and ripped out from underneath us. So I think that the timing was perfect. He still needs a job, but otherwise the timing is absolutely perfect, and I couldn't be prouder. And hopefully his legacy will be upheld and continued with all the officers he's trained and down the line. There's a lot of them here today, and I think that speaks volumes for the respect that he's earned and that the other officers have for him. And the very first thing you said, I think, was that I need a new building, and I echo that as well. Thank you for keeping that in mind, and thank you for the kind resolution.
Any other public comments? Anyone else? Jim?
Vice Chair Toffenelli, can we get a photo with the sheriff and
Yeah,
Alan?
and so let us pass the proclamation, and we'll get you guys up here. And is there any public comment online?
There is no online public comment.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. I'm open for a motion.
Move.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye. As a proxy vote from Rita Calaveras.
No.
Why would you vote no on Alan?
It's Marita. It passes 4-0-1 with one kind of. So now therefore be it resolved that Corporal Alan Serpa is honored for his dedication, his wisdom, mentoring, hard work, and humor during his 23 years of service at the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office. This is passed and adopted by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Calaveras, State of California, on this 10th day of May, 2022. Congratulations, Alan.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Those.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Thank you, Sheriff, for joining us this morning. Next, we will move on to item number 3, proclamation. If the clerk could read out.
Item 3, proclamation, Health and Human Services Agency, adopt a proclamation declaring May 2022 is CalFresh Awareness Month in Calaveras County.
And I believe Ms. Carter. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board, CEO. I'm Robin Carter, Health and Human Services Program Manager. A little something here I want to read. CalFresh Awareness Month started in May of 2011 and is the official month dedicated to increasing public awareness of CalFresh. The state, counties, and community-based organizations are committed to bringing awareness and assisting clients with CalFresh applications. CalFresh hopes to improve the health and well-being of qualified households and individuals by providing improved access to healthy and nutritious food. CalFresh is the largest food program in California and provides an essential hunger safety net. CalFresh benefits can help buy nutritious food for a better diet and stretch food budgets. Participants of the CalFresh program can purchase food at grocery stores and farmers markets that accept EBT cards. Our CalFresh staff at HHSA have participated in outreach to help bring awareness of CalFresh and assist with taking CalFresh applications at Columbia College and Veterans Freedom Day. There are many places where individuals can apply for CalFresh. 509 East St. Charles Street, our main building. We also have a 24/7 display cabinet out front that anybody can come and grab an application. There's envelope pins out there for people to apply. We have a drop box out front. There are our 3 outstations in Copperopolis. It's open on Tuesdays 12 to 4. The Arnold outstation, that's open Tuesdays 9 to 3. And our West Point outstation, that's open Thursdays 9 to 3. You can also go on to getcalfresh.org, benefitscal.com. You can apply over the phone, via fax, or mail in an application. Thank you. And I have Jen as well to speak.
I feel honored not only to work and live in this county, but also to serve the citizens and all of our residents of this county. You'll see in the proclamation, we're feeding approximately 24,000 residents a month with CalFresh. Yes, it's a supplemental program, but it may mean the difference between people eating or not at the end of the month for families. So it's an important thing. It's great that so many of our staff that work at HHSA actually serve the community they live in, and they take a lot of pride in that. We're not only accessing benefits for our neighbors, our friends, our families, but we're serving the community we live in, which is huge. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Whereas this is a resolution declaring May 2022 as CalFresh Awareness Month in Calaveras County and urging all community members to support the effort to increase awareness of and participate in the CalFresh program. And whereas food insecurity in Calaveras County has risen to historic proportions during the pandemic, and CalFresh has played a critical role in filling the gap and keeping food on the tables of community members in Calaveras County. Whereas the number of individuals served by the program has surged during the expansion of CalFresh for Social Security income recipients, followed by the surge in application through the COVID pandemic. In 2018, Calaveras County had 2,595 active CalFresh households in comparison to current 3,034 active CalFresh households that serve 28,417 individuals. And whereas a dedicated Calaveras Health and Human Service staff continue to administrate the CalFresh program in the Health and Human Service Agency main office through multiple outstation sites and via telephone, despite the challenges of ever-changing business processes, technology, and household disruptions. Whereas Calaveras Health and Human Services remains open to serve our community members whom are without access to phone and or internet, but in need of essential services. And whereas the Calaveras Health and Human Service Outstation serve as an office in the heart of more isolated or underserved community areas by bringing services to the communities of West Point, Arnold, and Copperopolis. And whereas active CalFresh households during the declared public health emergency have received the additional CalFresh benefits of emergency allotment supplement, increasing food security and providing income to our local food businesses. And whereas Calaveras has expanded the way that applicants can apply for benefits, making it easier for those who are homebound or avoid in-person contact with the public to apply. Through telephone sign waiver, individuals can apply for CalFresh on the phone or online without having to come to the office. Whereas during the public health emergency, the federal government has allowed states to waive the requirement that clients participate in an interview as part of the CalFresh application process. And whereas the federal government instituted a waiver during the pandemic, increasing access to CalFresh benefits for students to help the food insecurity that students face. And with that, is there any public comment? No. Is there any online?
There is no online public comment.
Okay, thank you. I will ask for a motion.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes at a 401. Now therefore being proclaimed that the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors on the 10th day of May 2022 does hereby declare May 2022 as CalFresh Awareness Month in the County of Calaveras. Thank you.
You want us all down there?
Maybe it's the next one.
Let's see. What do we have next? Who's up next? You? Okay. All right. Number 4. Clerk, can you read out?
Item 4, proclamation Behavioral Health Services Mental Health Program. Adopt a proclamation recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Calaveras County.
Wendy. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Today I'm here for Mental Health Awareness Month. While the world has made great strides in reducing the stigma around mental health, it still exists. Most people are embarrassed or scared to reach out for help or don't know where to start. Today I ask that you be the one. Be the one to walk with them for help. Be the one to sit with them to make a call. Let's keep rising up. Let's keep deciding to really care about the person. Let's be a friend to others that we need. Let's be the village. I'm also here today to recognize the employees who work for behavioral health. No one grows up with the dream of being a mental health worker or in kindergarten says, I want to work in mental health. Most of us have landed in this field because of the experiences we bring. These individuals show up day after day and often don't have time for themselves. Often these individuals are never actually off work because when someone knows you're in the field, you often get the question or asked for to show up for help. The ones that are here have dedicated their time and their efforts to support our community at any hour, any time of the day, and we thank you for your time. Thank you guys. A lot of them are here with us today. And today we also have a speaker, David Woods Bartley, who is online to share a brief presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just want to make sure that you can hear me. That's right. Wendy, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Madam Chairman and Board of Supervisors, my name is David Woods Bartley, and in a brief presentation, so I am one of those people with what we call lived experience. So I have made a journey from what I like to say from mental illness to mental wellness, and I'm alive today because of people like Wendy. I'm also alive because of people who serve under the sheriff. And on August 31st, 2011, I was going to kill myself. I was going to kill myself because the monsters I call clinical depression and mental illness on that particular day, August 31st, 2011, had convinced me of a slate of dark and awful lies, that I was worthless, that I was useless, that I was pitiful, that I was grotesque, that I was an embarrassment and a burden. And unfortunately, like many people who get to that hopeless space, I believed that if I killed myself, everybody would be better. So my former wife and Dee were living outside of Rockland in the little town of Penryn on a beautiful 2.5-acre parcel. And I got up on that morning and I sat down and I typed out this suicide note. Dear Deanna, The time has come for me to go. I am choosing to end my life so I can be free of the pain in my heart and soul and the betrayal of my mind and the depth of self-hatred that I feel. I have become the burden I wish I never would and a drag on those around me. I am a damaged shell of a boy, not yet close to the man I should be. And then I took the note and made the short 20-minute drive from our home to the Foresthill Bridge. And as I was perched there for, even to this day, a known period of time, a sheriff's deputy from Placer County approached me from the left-hand side and did an essential thing. And this is really my takeaway. He created connection, and which created hope. Hope is a weapon, and hope saves lives. I was taken off the bridge, ultimately to the Puff at Kirby Hills, and when people found out I was there and why, they were shocked because they didn't see me as mentally ill. At the time, Dee and I were running an amazing animal sanctuary called the Chance for Bliss. But oftentimes, when people don't fit the image of what we think of somebody as suicidal, the truth is, sometimes what hurts the most can't be seen. And sometimes behind a forced smile and a distracting joke is soul-crushing, hope-killing agony. But on the day I thought would be my last day alive, it was instead, as I said, these first steps in what has now been an 11-year journey from mental illness to mental wellness. And in longer conversations, and I just came back from a whirlwind tour presenting to more than 15,000 soldiers in Alaska and Fort Drum, I share what I believe are some of the whys people in their life. The most notable is a quote from David Chang that says, when you're suicidal, you become convinced that everything you think is true. Share what it feels like, because I still have terrible days, the occasional thought of killing myself, but they're days, they're not weeks, they're not months. And share what was the cause. I didn't just wake up one day and have this, and for me it was the inheritance of genetics, the trauma of losing my father at 7, and the nightmarish experience of being raped and sodomized by a Boy Scout leader. But then being told in that puff that it wasn't my fault, and then learning how to be well, which is really the care of self, body, mind, and spirit, however you define that. Spirit for me is synonymous with purpose. And then it's all about connection. Three most important words, I believe, in mental health are connection, connection, connection. And Brené Brown says it best that I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they drive strength and sustenance from the relationship. And it creates this thing called hope, and I'll tell you one quick study, and this is about the only scientific thing I speak because I don't use data. There was a guy back in the 50s that wanted to truly measure hope, and so he took a rat, and rats are known as really good swimmers, put him in a container of water and timed how long could the rat swim before he got to that place of down where there was no more hope, and it was right about 15 minutes. Researcher then took the rat out of the water, dried him off, put him on solid surface, and put him back in the water. How long could the rat swim the second time? 15 minutes the first time, the experience of connection, having the experience of hope. The rat on the second time could swim for 2.5 days, 60 hours, 15 minutes to 60 hours. And you can look it up. It's called the Hope Experiment. I didn't believe it. So if you think about it, the rat has this clear thinking. I was rescued the first time. Why wouldn't I be rescued the second? I am alive today because of one of your own. I'm alive today because of an extraordinary psychiatrist. I'm alive today because of a therapist and medication and self-care. I've been swimming for 11 years. What I teach people is how to create connection, because I think this is the answer. First, you need to recognize people, and I teach people a method to become masters of remembering people's name, because we all know what it's like when someone calls us forth by a name we have no expectation. I teach people that the most direct path we can take to overcoming our fear of mental illness is to leverage the power of curiosity to create understanding. And the first responder, after establishing contact and safety, said to me, David, what does it feel like to be depressed? And he said, David, how long have you lived with this circumstance? And the most audacious question, the same questions that I teach to thousands of officers in CIT training was, David, what do you want? What is it like on your worst days? And it's a counterintuitive question, but we have to ask the difficult questions, because the questions that we don't ask lead to tragedy. And then we listen. People need to be given the opportunity to hear out loud, and once we do that, we can pivot. David, what's it like on your best days? What's it like when you experience hope? And then what do you like? What would you want the rest of your life to be like? And then I could look up from that place on that dark spot on the tall, tall bridge, and the exclamation point, the cherry on the top of that Sunday of an extraordinary experience as we walked off, middle-aged man to middle-aged man, was, thank you for telling me how you feel. And then we have expression. We all need expression of significance at this point, especially now. And my brother, who is a retired two-star general, is the master of the handwritten note. And I believe we all know that what happens when we receive a handwritten note. And one example for me was a young woman who's like a daughter to me who just knew something wasn't quite right. And she says, David, I love you so much more than I could possibly ever show you. I truly can't imagine our family without you. I lately have felt sad because I don't know what to do. I don't understand depression. I don't feel like anyone really does. I have been researching to try and figure out what I can do to help. However, I haven't really found anything. So I thought I would just reach out and remind you that even though your depression may cause you to feel that you are unworthy, that is the farthest thing from the truth. And all the times I've read this note, I realize that it's the perfect note because it offers me support, not advice. And the last 7 words of this note, probably the best, most sacred words I'll ever hear, was when Natalie told me, depression can't have you because you're ours. We can do simple things. We can leverage recognition, understanding, and expression to create hope. I'll end with a quote from Dr. Drew Ramsey, who's an esteemed psychiatrist, and this is applicable to everybody in the room, truly everybody worldwide, and these are the doctor's words. But someone you see today is thinking about killing themselves. Your smile, your question, your love could save them. Trust me, they told me it did. I'm an enormous fan of Calaveras County. I think that your county, quite frankly, is on the leading edge of defeating the monster of suicide. It is such an incredible honor to be in your presence today, to work in partnership with Wendy and behavioral health. I am in your debt and will do everything I can to assist the citizens of your county in any way that I can. Thank you so much for the honor of being here today.
Thank you, David. Before I leave, I just want to also thank our law enforcement who are there to help us. It is National Law Enforcement Week, and without them, some of the places that we have to go, we would be going by ourselves. So thank you guys as well.
Thank you. At this time, I turn it over to Supervisor Stopper.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you for sharing your story. It's appreciated. We appreciate you. Whereas mental health challenges are one of the most common health conditions in California, affecting 1 out of 6 adults and impacting both the person experiencing mental health challenges and those persons who care about and love the person facing the challenge. And whereas access to support and ending stigma surrounding mental health challenges are of paramount importance, and whereas a community where everyone feels comfortable reaching out for the support they deserve is crucial to ending the stigma around mental health, and whereas the Calaveras County Health and Human Services Agency Behavioral Health Program works with several different partners and entities throughout the county to provide tools and resources for prevention, awareness, and to help break the stigma of suicide. Just my experience, we all have different hurdles we got to cross. Some people deal with quite a bit more. I appreciate there's quite a few people all the way around. I see Megana, I see Danielle, I see all kinds of people in here, including all the sheriff's department that do work together. And it takes a community working as a whole to, reach out to people and actually check on them, at different levels when they're depressed this way. So I appreciate all the work you do. Is there any public comment?
So I actually hadn't planned on doing this today, but my worlds sort of both collided today as a surprise. But I was a Calaveras County 911 dispatcher for 12 years. And 2.5 years ago, I came to work for mental health. So I went from helping suicidal people on the phone to helping them in person. And I worked with a lot of sick people, and now I handle them in person and help them and do the best that I can. The last year or so, or I was in a relationship and married too, and it was my own mental illness too. My spouse is mentally ill. The last year, I too was not doing well, and one of David Brantley's trainings sent me over the edge, and my friends and coworkers stepped in because they saw that, and I was having a hard time too. So I'm really proud to do what I do now, and I'm really proud to have worked for both agencies, and I've watched a lot of change happen and collaboration between the two agencies over the years, and I've seen an increase in crisis intervention training between all the staff, and I just want to see it continue because we're a great team, all of us, and I'm really proud of everybody that I've worked for and that I work with now.
Thank you, Heather. Sheriff de Basilia, a.k.a. Callaway.
There you go. I need to speak on this just because mental health that we have in this county, Corey Allen and Wendy and all of their staff are fantastic, is because of what they do. We're just there to support them, and we support them in any and every way we absolutely can. But the mental health in this county won an award, as you will remember, a few years ago because of the work that they're doing. So I've got to say that the thanks and the gratitude goes to our HHS department because of the work that they have done and the work that they'll continue to do. They do a fantastic job. They've allowed one of their own to actually be in our jail to help people that are in the jail, to help them for their transition to get back out of the jail. So they've just done phenomenal work, and I've got nothing but praise for those folks. They talk about their support that we give them. We only give them support because they support us, not only on the public side, but in the jail and with my staff. As you all know, we go through a lot of stuff, and their staff is more than willing to help our staff. So that's huge. So big recognition to the people of Corey Allen's house. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. Further public comment?
I think Corey.
Good morning, Chair Foldorf, members of the board, and of course our community. I really wish I could have been in person today, but it was just so important for me to be able to say how much I appreciate David and Wendy, your presentation today. I know that breaking the stigma of mental illness and mental wellness is absolutely critical right now. We are coming through an unprecedented time over the past 2 years, and people are experiencing challenges and difficulties exactly as you've just talked about. So I just wanted to say, I lost someone to suicide a few weeks ago, Todd Brown in Tuolumne County, who worked with our emergency medical system for a very long time. And just knowing that these experiences do and will happen, but we are part of the connection that David so eloquently just spoke about. And it's an effort that is worthwhile. You will note, members of our board, that we have a clinician who's a supervising clinician named Monique Gonzalez. She's filling a position where there are 2 vacant positions. So she's doing the job of 3 people to manage the influx of these kinds of matters. And if while you were listening to David talk today, you probably wanted to tap out, probably about 3 different times in his brief presentation, because it is so overwhelming. We have 3 or 4 vacancies in clinicians in behavioral health right now. So it's crucial that we continue to build in this side of our programming, the partnerships that were just talked about with law enforcement, the partnerships within Health and Human Services Agency, with Jack Roberson's Adult Services team and Public Guardian team, to support and build that partnership is absolutely critical. So I'm just here to say how much I appreciate the work being done. I appreciate those of us with lived experience who continue to come and tackle this very important issue. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Any further public comment in the room?
No online public comment.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to the board and entertain a motion.
Move.
Thank you. A motion by Chair Madam Fullendorf.
Second.
A second by Supervisor Toffenelli. All those in favor? Aye. Passes on a 4-0-1 vote of the board. Now therefore, Now therefore be it proclaimed, the County of Calaveras Board of Supervisors proclaims the month of May 2022 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the County of Calaveras and recommits our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental illnesses, reducing stigma and discrimination, and promoting appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses. Thank you very much.
Didn't know what you were asking.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay. Thank you.
Alarm system.
Wendy, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to invite you all to attend tomorrow. We're having a mental health presentation day for our employees, and you guys are all welcome to join. We have Greg Bell, who's coming to speak for us, so please attend if you're available at the town hall tomorrow starting at 8:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
With that, we'll move on to item number 5, proclamation. Clerk, could you please read out?
Proclamation, Health and Human Services Agency, adopt a proclamation declaring May 2022 is Military Appreciation Month in Calaveras County.
And at this time, I'll turn it over to Supervisor Garamendi.
Thank you very much, and I do see a few former soldiers, sailors, airmen out there. So it's my pleasure to proclaim, to read this proclamation declaring May 2022 as Military Appreciation Month in Calaveras County. Whereas in 1999, the United States Congress officially designated May as National Military Appreciation Month to remind Americans to pay tribute to those who have sacrificed their lives in defense of freedom. And whereas over 2 million active duty National Guard and Reserve personnel stand ready to defend our country at a moment's notice. And whereas millions of families and friends proudly sacrifice the presence of their loved ones to do the honorable work of our nation's armed forces. And whereas this month has several days of observance regarding the U.S. military, including Loyalty Day, Victory in Europe Day, Military Spouse Appreciation Day, Armed Forces Day, and Memorial Day. And whereas on federal holidays in Calaveras County, its communities, our communities, place flags along the main roadside and memorials to honor its military service members and veterans. Is there any public comment on this item?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Honorable Board. I'm Brian Galicia, Calaveras County Veteran Service Officer, and I'd like to talk about one of the days that that is part of this month where we celebrate National Military Appreciation. And as the proclamation states, National Military Spouse Appreciation Day is one of those days. President Ronald Reagan first recognized this important day in 1984, the Friday before Mother's Day. And this year we celebrated it this past Friday, May 6th. While our active duty servicemen and women are working each day to protect our freedoms, it's their spouses who are working and sacrificing each day to build, maintain, and protect their families and homes. As we all know, there are times when our service members are deployed for months at a time. For those members with families, it means leaving their spouses behind to take care of their home until they return. Many of these spouses are stationed with their service members in parts of the country that are far from where they came from, a fact that makes it even more difficult to maintain a home when they don't have other family nearby to help. Many might think that they won't be able to handle it on their own. Spouses are left with not only the responsibility of taking care of the family and home, but dealing with the unexpected situations which come up in the home or back in their home towns, and the constant fear of answering the door to a military officer in dress uniform coming to inform their service member isn't coming home. They find themselves experiencing a wide array of feelings and emotions they never knew existed, and trying to find a way to handle them all. But then their service member comes home and the family is whole again. Once the family settles back into their family lives, the spouses eventually realize they are strong enough to handle the absence of their service member, and they are strong enough to take on whatever is handed to them while they are away. And while their service member is the one who volunteered to serve in our armed forces, the spouses get the satisfaction of knowing they too have honorably served their country. This is why we take the time to celebrate the military spouse. Please join me this month in giving honor and respect to these brave souls. Thank you.
Other public comment? Bring it back to the board. Any comment from the board? I would like to recognize, we have a great tradition of service in this county. A lot of our young men and women sign up, and a lot of them come back. I know there's a couple in this crowd. I see Sergeant Crabtree back there who served in the Guard. Are there other members of the former military members in the audience? Captain Ballard? Our Director of Public Works, Mr. Packinger. Very good. Proud of all of this. I'm proud of our county. So, is there a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved, Mr. Garamendi.
Thank you. A motion by Supervisor Stopper. Second.
I will second.
Second by Supervisor Toffenelli. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0-1. Therefore be it proclaimed that the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors proclaims the month of May 2022 as Military Appreciation Month in the County of Calaveras, and encourages its residents to show their gratitude by the appropriate display of an American flag during this time. Thank you very much. All right, come on up.
Actually, why don't we have members of the military, former, current level, come on up. Robert, Josh. Captain Ballard. Sure. All right, everybody looks like we're friends. Appreciate it. Ready?
thank you, everyone, for the time that you spent this morning coming to recognize these proclamations. At this time, I'm going to move on to general public comment. This is any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agenda. It may be addressed during the public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking any action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it's determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. At this time, is there any, I'm going to start with online to allow the clerk to check. Is there any online public comment?
There is no online public comment.
Okay, at this time, I'll move it to the room. Is there any public comment? Please be mindful of the time on the podium. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Scott Fischler. I'll read from a prepared document for exactness, primarily addressing Deputy Counsel not present. The County of Calaveras has repeatedly failed since March 4th to take necessary corrective action against Moaning Caverns Adventure Park for intentional and persistent negligence, operating its terminally deteriorated 100-year-old, 100-foot-tall spiral staircase. The County of Calaveras, directed by Deputy Counsel's destructive efforts, has consciously engaged in willful ignorance, willful blindness, willful negligence, willful insufficient activity, willful denial of foreseeability, and willful nonfeasance. Moaning Caverns employees and guests continue to be placed at extraordinary, unmanaged risk of tragic, unavoidable death by dismemberment and decapitation, without having been afforded disclosure of and specific consent to the actual risk of life due to a sudden catastrophic uncontrolled collapse of the staircase. On March 4th, I filed a code compliance complaint with the county against Moaning Caverns due to their persistent gross negligence and criminally callous disregard for human life and safety. On May 6th, I received a tranche of documentation from the county in response to a Public Records Act request, disturbingly revealing that Deputy Counsel initiated and intentionally conflated and mischaracterized two brief written statements of mine into an implied threat to the personal safety of local management. There's no mistaking the antagonizing intent of Deputy Counsel, acting punitively and falsely on behalf of the county against me in my role as a dutiful citizen complainant. Deputy Counsel intentionally and maliciously is provoking and promoting a false narrative, an intimidating climate of fearfulness for the personal safety of Moaning Caverns management, prompting their engagement with the Sheriff's Department. Moaning Caverns management has very good reason for concern of loss of their liberty and loss of their free movement in society, but certainly no reason to be fearful of their personal safety for me, Deputy Counsel. Moaning Caverns management has very good reason for concern, as I said this. Your, Deputy Counsel, your behavior has earned you a well-deserved rebuke, a formal complaint filed against you at the State Bar of California now. Deputy Counsel is now considered a facilitator, actively aiding and abetting Moaning Caverns activities, including tens of thousands of instances of federal wire fraud, deceptively promising on its home webpage a commitment to ensuring a safe vacation environment, yet having absolutely no intention of providing or ensuring that, with Deputy Counsel now consciously engaging and willfully facilitating the perpetuation of federal wire fraud and consumer deception. I conclude. Good day. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, is there any other public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, and they will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Is there any board member that wishes to pull a consent agenda item? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Any staff? Okay, with that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move this item, Madam Chair.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. 401. Thank you. Okay. Now we'll move on to the regular agenda. We have item number 12. Clerk?
Item 12, informational item, Human Services, receive a report from the County Veteran Services Officer.
Good morning again. Once again, I am Brian Galicia, Calaveras County Veteran Service Officer. Thank you, Stacy. I am wanting at this point to begin coming before you at least twice a year to submit statistics on how our office is helping our community and our veterans. So basically, what I've done is I've prepared a short report presented to you with an overview of the impact that the Calaveras County Veteran Service Office has on our community. And some of the information is from local statistics that we take from our system, as well as statistics that come from the California Association of Calaveras, or of County Veteran Service Officers, better known as CACVSO. I have provided each member of the board with a copy of this year's annual report from that association. And it comes out once a year around March, and I will continue to give you copies every year. So the next slide is the statistical information provided by the CACVSO, showing that where Calaveras County stands in fiscal year 2020-2021, and how we compare to other counties, and to give us our own statistics. And as you can see, under the new awards attributable to County Veteran Service Offices, we served 282 claims, and I want to remind you, this was during COVID. We brought in to the county economy over $1.3 million in awards made to our veterans in the form of disability compensation and non-disability compensation pension. The average new award is $4,697. And the return on the investment, the support that the general fund gave my office in that year was $194,125, which was return on the investment, what we brought in, just under $7 per every general fund dollar spent. The next slide is just some local statistics. This is started from January 1st of this year through March 31st of this year, so our first quarter. You can see we have had quite a few in-person contacts, telephone contacts. In the awards, we have total retroactive awards just for this 3 months of over $46,000, with new monthly awards totaling $6,765.06. I'm sorry, my glasses aren't good enough to see the screen. But that new monthly award is continuing lifetime amounts that will continue to come to these veterans who will help support the economy in this county. Some of the other statistics I've listed have to do with dependents, the college fee waiver program. Since July of 1st of 2021, we've done 13, which that totaled over $83,000 in college fee waivers for our veterans' children to go to college. And I'd like to end the report with a success story, one of two, which is printed in this year's CACVSO annual report. Calaveras County, going the extra mile secures benefits for a spouse of a deceased veteran. A chance encounter resulted in a deserving outcome for a surviving spouse of a decorated Vietnam veteran. The story began when a Veteran Service Representative, or VSR, in the Calaveras CDSO office received a phone call from a Vietnam veteran who had been wounded in the war and received a Purple Heart. The veteran informed the VSR that he was suffering from multiple illnesses. From his description, the VSR knew the illnesses were considered presumptive indications of exposure to Agent Orange. The VSR asked him to come to the office to sign a claim for the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Time passed after the VSR filed the claim, but she did not hear anything from the veteran regarding the results of his claim. This was not unusual, however, because the VA takes several steps to process a claim. The veteran never contacted the VSR again. The next chapter in this story came sometime later when the surviving spouse of the local veteran contacted the CVSO with some hats for her deceased husband had collected. She wondered if we would like to give the hats to local veterans. Being unable to accept personal items, the CVSO staff suggested she take them to the local VFW or American Legion post, whereupon she thanked us and gave them her contact information. Walking back to her office, the VSR decided to look up the woman's name and address in our system and discovered that the widow's spouse was the veteran she'd helped the previous year. She looked up the veteran in the VA portal and database of documents sent to the VA and was able to view the death certificate. The veteran had passed away from an Agent Orange-related illness a few months after he had seen the VSR. Of interest to the VSR was the lack of documents submitted for the surviving spouse. She reviewed all of the information and then called the spouse the next day, explained there were several benefits she was eligible for, and due to her husband dying from the Agent Orange-related condition. The VSR worked with the spouse to submit all required documents to the VA, and the final chapter was written months later when the widow was awarded benefits for surviving spouses, along with burial benefits. The VA awarded benefits retroactively to the veteran's date of passing, and the surviving spouse received a $11,852 lump sum payment and will receive $1,357 a month for the rest of her life. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Okay. So the board got this, what you read from, and there's another story in there about Calaveras County and our surrounding counties as well. So if anyone have had an opportunity to read this, there's a lot of information in here and heart-touching stories.
I have a question. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions, and I appreciate the update. I had a conversation with a colleague of mine who was my roommate in the Army and had suffered through a lot of tough stuff, and he's really working hard with counseling. So my question is, how are we doing in reaching out to more recent veterans, particularly those from Afghanistan and Iraq in our population? Because, as he explained to me, it's been difficult to connect and bring them in.
Right. Since I took over the office, we were in the middle of COVID when I came in, and our outreach efforts had to take kind of a back seat because of that. Last year, as you know, we were out at the fair, and we had a booth all 4 days, and we made 75 good contacts last year. And since then, we have restarted our medical outreach. We actually have one going on right as we speak down in Valley Springs for our veterans to come. They don't need to have been service connected. They come see the doc. And we're also providing lunch for them. And we're doing that 5 times this year. We are going to be at the fair later this month, all 4 days again. We're hoping to get even more contacts. One of the biggest statements that was made to us last year was, we didn't even know you guys existed. And as an example, yesterday, one of the very first veterans I assisted when I first took over, his brother came in yesterday saying, my brother told me to come see you. Word of mouth is our best communication at this point. We have We actually have veterans coming in from other counties because they're not getting the assistance that they need from either the other county or the other agency that has represented them in the past. But we're doing so much outreach as we can. We just hired our new outreach coordinator. Today is his second day, and he's going to hit the ground running. And we're hoping to reach as many people as possible. I know we recently had Calaveras Community TV out to do, I think, PSA portion. They interviewed my staff that was there at the time, and hopefully we'll be able to get more information out there. And if you're out at the fair, come see us.
Thank you. Along the same lines, I want to make sure that are we able to coordinate? I know they're separate organizations, but we're all one family, with the VFW and American Legion, those traditional support groups for our veterans in the community. Are we able to help them find membership and connect our veterans together? I'm not sure how that all works.
We have information at the office to give them about American Legion, about VFW, how they can go about applying for membership. We tell them when the meetings are. We cannot go in and sit at our computer and do the application for them online. But we do talk to them, especially the younger folks that are coming in when we get them in. Right now we're seeing a lot of older veterans, Vietnam, a couple of World War II and some Korean War. We haven't seen a lot of Gulf War Afghanistan yet. We are expecting them to come in droves when they do. But we are trying to encourage the younger guys and ladies to come and join these veterans fraternal organizations because I know some of them are struggling, and we do what we can to help. But we can't, as the office, do it for them, but we will send them in the right direction for sure.
That's perfect. I just know that traditionally these groups have been a major part of our civic organizations in supporting veterans as well, veterans supporting veterans. So I appreciate that. I understand we have to keep firewall, but we are all one community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Brad.
Are there any other questions by board?
I don't have any questions, but Brian, I want to thank you and your staff down there for all the work that you do. You guys do a great job. And as we talked before, I think if you look at this program before 5 years ago or 4 years ago, before it moved to where it's at now, it was very small because we had a lack of veterans coming forward to where it was located. But since now it's located down at the Vets Hall in Valley Springs, it's just grown immensely, and that's due to you and your staff reaching out, and it's easily available to them, and so I just want to thank you and your staff.
Thank you. And part of the thanks for the expanding of the office is to my predecessor. She did a lot of good work to get everything going down there, and I thank her for all the work that she did as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? None? Okay. Thank you, Brian. And with that, we will move on to item number 13, informational item as well. Clerk?
Item 13, informational item, OES, receive an update from the Office of Emergency Services, CAL FIRE, and the Sheriff's Office on 2022 wildfire preparedness activity throughout Calaveras County.
Mr. Osborne.
Would you like me to? I'd be more than happy to. You're part of it. Well, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is John Osborne. I'm the Director of Emergency Services.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, CAO Van Lotta. My name is John Osborne. I'm your Director of Emergency Services. To my left is my partner today, Unit Chief Nick Cashy and Sheriff Rick. So we have a presentation for you this morning regarding what we've been up to prepare for this wildfire season. So we'll start with Chief Cashy.
All right, good morning again. I appreciate the opportunity to come and present to you on wildfire preparedness. In discussions with my partners here, with the quickening of information and overall heightened awareness of the public to fire season in general, we felt it was appropriate to come and speak with you all on what it is that your agencies are doing prior to smoke being in the air to prepare for the upcoming fire season. A little bit about me. I've been a Calaveras County resident since 2006, and 14 of my 24-year career has been here, mostly out of San Andreas. So fire captain at our local headquarters, San Andreas Battalion Chief for about 5 years, and then Deputy Chief of Operations and now the Unit Chief for the last 2 years. So I live here in San Andreas. I've worked here a long time, and my perspective comes from going to small fires as well as some of the biggest fires we've had in the county. With that, as we're looking at our current conditions and going forward, for 2022, some of the things that we're looking at, primarily we pay attention to, is our overall precipitation values, as well as our fuel moistures that we have. And this allows for the early decision making of when we need to start ramping up for our staffing, as well as a heightened awareness to when we have a probability of actually getting fires. So when we look at the overall rain for Calaveras County, and the average over the last 30 years is about 38.86 inches of rains per the National Weather Service. And when we think of a water year goes from October 1st through September 30th per the Department of Water Resources. So comparatively, if we look back to 2021, at 14.57 inches of rain at our San Andreas headquarters rain gauge, this year we're at about 19.17, and that was prior to that last large storm we got, due to having the presentation available and submitted. And you could probably add a couple more inches to that overall. We're probably more closer towards 21 inches of rain for the year. At our Banner Road RAWs, which would be your mid-elevation range in the Mountain Ranch area, slightly higher numbers, again, 15 inches last year, 21.05 this year. One note for the rain measurements. If we look at, the rain year when we started receiving rain, that late October storm, significant amount of rain we got. Then we had several months of drying, and I would say that January through March is probably one of the driest 90 days on record. So although we have received more rain than last year, it's all relative to when we get it and how much we get, and then what it does to the fuels. So the next component we look at is our fuel moistures. And I'll start with grass, because that's one that most people can comprehend. We know grass is ready, available to burn when it turns from green to brown. How do we know that for the brush component? And that's where we get into our fuel moistures. And so we have fuel sampling sites in our Chemise and Manzanita that we go every month and we take that sample. It involves drying out the fuel and weighing it comparatively prior to the oven drying and then afterwards. And that expresses the total moisture of the fuel that it's contained at the time. We usually see a spike in the springtime where the brush is taking on the moisture, and the more moisture it has, the less available it is to burn. Typically, as it dries out through the summer, the brush becomes more available to burn in that July, August timeframe. The last few years, because of the lack of rain, we've seen that available to burn as early as April 30th of last year. So when we look at our fuel moistures this year, we're currently at about 109%, and last year we were at 108%. 10-year average is 106, and our critical levels when it's ready to burn is typically around 60 to 80%. So we're right on track now when we will start getting fires as the grass is turning brown. When it hits that brush component, it'll be the dead component in that brush that burns, but the live component isn't quite ready yet. I do expect to see a sudden drop in that as we get hotter and drier, especially after the driest the springtime we've had, and we'll most likely see that ready available to burn earlier than normal would be my guess. So as we move on, the preparation from public safety agencies, I think It's of note to say that in Calaveras County, we have a very fortunate professional relationship with all of our cooperators here, and that leads to a seamless operation when we do get incidents. If you look at the amount of wildland fires we typically receive in the Tuolumne-Calaveras unit, which covers all of Calaveras County, all of Tuolumne, and the eastern portions of San Joaquin and Stanislaus, we run about 250 to 300 vegetation fires on average per year, and condense that down in between May to November. With that, that ranges anything from very small fires to larger fires. But 300 times a year, all of us are getting together in some capacity, whether lower levels or higher levels, and dealing with these incidents. So the collaborations with Calaveras County Sheriff's Office, County OES, San Andreas Office, CHP, CAL FIRE, U.S. Forest Service, and local Calaveras County fire districts on evacuation pre-planning, wildfire threat, agency-specific capabilities and needs, and operations regarding wildfire response takes place every spring. This is a picture here of our meeting we had this year, and there was nothing greater to see than a packed room with people having to stand because we had such a large presence from all of our cooperators. Our preseason meetings with the local cooperators and stakeholders to discuss upcoming conditions and wildfire threat, which in the form that we're doing now. And then something new we have started last year going into this year is the CAL FIRE provided Techno-Silvo wildfire threat assessment and daily collaboration. And so what that is it's a program through contract that CAL FIRE has that takes the influences of wildland fire, whether it be fuels, topography, and weather, and creates a projected outlook for the week or day on what the potential conditions you could see and how the effects would be on a fire. Provides us that situational awareness, and we share that with our cooperators. We also have is the ability that when we get a wildland fire in the dispatch, through our computer automated dispatch system, it pinpoints the location. Using this software, it does fire run projections and gets that in time to the responding battalion chief and engines so that we can see, based on the science, what the potential is for that fire should no action be taken. Now, there's definitely a level of education that comes to discern that information because we do take action on fires very aggressively. But it gives us the understanding that on high winds, hot, dry days, is there an area of threat or a larger potential fire growth that we need to pay attention to that allows us to get ahead of the curve and engage with OES, engage with the sheriff, and provide the best service to the public. It's definitely a change we've seen with technology over the last few years. This is cutting edge for us in the support system for addressing wildland fires. So the other aspect that we work hard for when smoke's not in the air is our fuel reduction work and defensible space inspections. So from January of 2021 through April of this year, pulling the numbers, we currently have 21 CAL FIRE vegetation management projects and 6 grant-funded projects in Calaveras County. Vegetation management projects would be fuels reduction work, such as like the Murphy's Fuel Break, or range conversion or noxious weed abatement and assisting local landowners through the vegetation management process of treating acres. With that, we've treated 2,652 acres in that time frame, and about 566 of those have been through broadcast burning. And then 2,086 acres were treated with fuels reduction work, hand crews, and mechanized equipment. And so I make reference to those numbers broken out specifically, is that it may not seem like a large number in totality where you're looking at a roughly 1.2 million acres of coverage that our unit provides suppression efforts to. But those are acres in and around communities. Those are acres that are treated in and around homes and areas that have topographic features where we could help stop a fire sooner based on the reduced fuels. And so the number, in totality may look small, but it's going to pay dividends on what it could protect should we get a fire, an unwanted fire in the area.
They can't see that.
I can't see.
The defensible space.
I can't see it either.
2,260.
So yeah, 2,200 defensible space inspections, I'm sorry. Defensible space inspections are probably the single best thing our community can do to prepare for wildfire. It's ensuring that their homes are hardened and resistive to ember cast. It's ensuring they have the reduced fuel around their home. And combined, it provides an overall reduced fuel area in locations where there's maximum education and compliance. We have a rotating group of folks that do defensible space inspections on the 2-year cycle, and so we have to service, all of our areas and every district in the county as well as 2 counties. But it's more of an educational, so it's a compounding number. So this year, let's say we focus hypothetically in the San Andreas area, and then next year it's to the Moke Hill, and when we get back around, well, those homeowners have been educated from 2 years ago and know. And most of the time, that education hasn't taken place or is just now taking place, and it's advantageous for them to have compliance. So the enforcement side of defensible space is something that we do as well, but typically we have great compliance and the overall benefit for the community is there. So as we get into resources and response, for CAL FIRE, the duty chief and battalion chief coverage, we have 24/7, 365. So in Calaveras County, there's 2 battalion chiefs on duty every single day. They're broken into areas. One covers San Andreas, West Point, Valley Springs, Moke Hill. The other one covers basically the Highway 4 corridor to the county line. With that, we have 15 CAL FIRE stations between the 2 counties and 22 frontline fire engines with a minimum of 3 personnel on duty every day. We have 2 bulldozers that are staffed every day, and our fire crews out of Vallecito Conservation Camp, our baseline fire center in Tuolumne County serves both counties, and our Stockton Delta Center, which was newly added to our staffing last year, which is just located down just on the outskirts of Stockton, be east of Highway 99, and those crews come into Calaveras or Tuolumne County every single day to pre-position should we get a fire. This year, through a budget augmentation, we received funding for an additional fire crew of firefighters, which will be out of the Sonora Fire Center, which will also cover both counties. We also have 1 air attack, 2 anchors, and 2 air tankers, and a Type 1 CAL FIRE Hawk helicopter out of Columbia for normal staffing. And then this year, through the budget change proposal to increase our aerial assets, we have an exclusive use Type 1 helicopter that will be out of Columbia as well. What that is that's a private company helicopter that we enter into a contract with. This will be, I believe, from June till November. They will be at Columbia Airport, and they will be available for initial attack response as well as statewide response. So if they're on base and we get a fire in the county, we will now have 2 helicopters responding, which is huge. Lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our fire and rescue mutual aid system resources, which again goes to our local fire districts and our great partners that step up and provide staffing and engines to wildland fires throughout the county and throughout the state. We could not do it without their support and their help, especially during times of extreme drawdown.
Just a quick note regarding the helicopters themselves. So the exclusive Type 1 helicopter that Chief Cashy just spoke of is a Chinook or a CH-47 dual rotor blade. It carries 3,000 gallons of water. The new CAL FIRE Hawk helicopter that we actually got last year is good to about 1,000 gallons. So in the past 2 years, we've gone from the ability to dump about 350 gallons to 4,000.
Prior to the CAL FIRE Hawk, or what's formerly known as the Black Hawk helicopter, we had the Super Hueys with the smaller bucket, as John was saying. So this piece here with the Emergency Operations Center and Incident Command Post integration, I think this is a really key point to discuss, especially with your positions as electeds and your constituents that will be calling you to find out what's going on, especially when we look at agricultural commodities in the county of timber, cattle, and the wine industry being the top 3. We all have a vested interest, whether you're a resident or you're an ag producer, in where's the fire and what's going on. I know as a local battalion chief and even as a unit chief, when there's smoke in the air, whether large or small, my phone rings from neighbors or from constituents. And so with that, the Incident Command Post being out in the field and the Emergency Operations Center being here in the Sheriff's Department, how do we get the information from one to the other, and then how do we get the information to you and to the public? And so communication from the incident to the Emergency Operations Center is key. Immediately on a fire, we have a strong presence from the Sheriff's Office that is connecting the law enforcement and the fire piece for response. And then we also have a strong interaction with the Office of Emergency Services that's preparing for the notification piece, as well as preparing for the EOC piece should there be impacts to the county past the initial attack phase. Evacuation orders and alerts, and John and Sheriff DiBasile will cover that a little later. And then a joint public information release to keep the public informed. One One of the hardest things to keep up on is the quickening, as I refer to, of information through social media and other platforms. A lot of it can be opinion-based, and opinion-based things that may not have the substance for verification can generate a larger workload than the fire in and of itself sometimes. And so keeping that message in line and uniform with all of our agencies is key, and I think we've done a great job of that on incidents we've had in the past. Another impact that, and maybe John will discuss, but with the Emergency Operations Center opening, should there be impacts to Calaveras County specifically, the department heads and areas of the county staff will be leaned on to support the EOC, which is going to put a draw in all other areas. And we have some history now working together, whether it be through the pandemic response or some of our extended attack fires, such as the Arola fire last year or the Walker fire a couple years ago. So we have an understanding of how to work together to make sure that the needs of the county outside of putting the fire out are met, but understanding that the impacts to you and your staff. And then cooperators and stakeholder briefings to ensure concerns are addressed. One of the larger concerns we've seen when we get larger fires is, especially with our agriculture folks, our stockmen in the county, their ability to understand where the fire is, where they have their cattle, the need to get those cattle out, the need to get in, and the Sheriff's Department has been extremely proactive with the agricultural pass for our stockmen, which there is now a Senate bill through California that almost mirrors exactly what Sheriff DiBasilio was doing almost 4 years ago. So hats off to you for being proactive with that.
So from the county perspective, our focus is around supporting the overall fire effort that is generally spearheaded by CAL FIRE, and that falls in two critical areas, education and then actual incident response. So we've worked pretty hard on getting different ways to educate the constituents and our citizens about red flag conditions. Those are obviously those conditions where if we do get a start, it's likely to burn more and faster. And so we have a couple of things. What you see there is a picture of a red flag warning. We put those banners out when there is an actual National Weather Service red flag warning here in the county. Those are spread between all of the CAL FIRE fire stations, actually our schools, and our local fire districts. So when you see that red flag up in the top picture there, that means that we're facing conditions that if we do get a start, it's likely that we're going to have a greater impact with fire. We have our Calaveras Alert Program, which is an opt-in program. We currently have, give or take, about 46,000 residents. And as of earlier this week, we had about 22,000 contacts in our system to notify. And then lastly, one of the things that we worked with both CAL FIRE and the Sheriff's Office with are our evacuation tag program. And let's see if my link works here. Here's a little information about that. Is there... Yeah, I'm getting feedback with it though.
You're not sharing that page already, that's not what
Okay, so let's do that.
So that evacuation tag that you see there
we've made them available to all of our residents at our local fire stations, our sheriff's departments, and substations, as well as...
John,
So those evacuation tags, when we do have an incident and folks evacuate, either self-evacuate or evacuated by the sheriff's office, if they display the tag as you see there in the video, what that does is it allows the deputies that are on the ground doing the evacuations to see that sign and then move to the next one so that we can get to the people that haven't been evacuated sooner and faster. If you're interested in seeing all of that video, it's on our YouTube, the Office of Emergency Services YouTube site. And go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. And let me move my screen out of the way here. So we have those evacuation tags. We also recently completed our multi-hazard mitigation plan. That was in partnership with the City of Angels and Murphy Sanitary District. It's a comprehensive plan. It's about 358 pages long that discusses all of the threats that we face here in the county. As you might suspect, wildfire is our number one threat, followed closely by extreme weather, specifically heat, and then winter storms and climate change. So we have identified those hazards, and based on that study of our area, are looking to provide projects that lessen the effects of those. Another information piece that we have put in is our Community Information Center. Which is on the county homepage. This is what it looks like. It will provide you up-to-date information about COVID-19. It'll provide you with up-to-date information about PG&E outages, both unplanned outages as well as public safety power shutoffs. So you can see across the region there are quite a few outages right now. The green is, I think, 0 to 49 customers. You can also see our evacuation application. And what that'll show you is if there were an evacuation somewhere here in the county, it would show up on this map, and then it would show up there on the map, and you could see, the public can see where that evacuation is taking place, where the origin of the fire is, any roads that are closed, any shelters that we stand up, etc. We have the OES webcam system. This is Cal OES, so each one of these are a fire cam, and if you click on it, you can actually see what the fire cam is seeing right now. And then for those that do some traveling, you can also see the Caltrans cameras on the major highways. So we use those in combination to get eyes on the fire almost immediately. Or a couple of weeks ago when we had a tornado threat, this camera right here was pointed right at the funnel cloud, and you could actually see it turning. In addition to that, we have information. I apologize, that's mislabeled. It is 2022 fire incidences, and it will show you any active fires in the county and actually across the country and across the world if you're so inclined. And then because our number 2 threat is weather, we have a couple of different weather tags here that is available where you can monitor the weather. You can look at wind, snow accumulation, rain accumulation, temperature on this one. This weather station is actually the PG&E weather stations that are throughout our area. And each one of these dots that you see is a weather station. We actually have one on Mills Avenue, less than a mile away from here. So we use these as, again, as inputs. When we break a fire, we can find the nearest weather station and find immediately what the average wind is, what the gust is, and what the humidity level is. And then last but not least is air quality, excuse me. Air quality became an issue for us 2 fire seasons ago when we had quite a fire burning to our south, and the smoke was being driven into the county. Let's get out of Nevada and see if we can go to... We have, I think we only have 2 of these air sensors in the county. One of them is actually here on campus, if I remember correctly. Whoops, I'm sorry. There we go. So each one of those little dots is an air quality sensor. As you can see, we've had a slight breeze today, so the air quality is pretty good. And we've seen it actually in the red and the black 2 seasons ago. So that helps us inform our environmental conditions. Stop share one more time. Go back to my PowerPoint. So all of those components in that Community Information Center are really meant to help the situational awareness, not only of the folks that are responding to these incidences, but our residents, so that they are better informed about what's going on around them. Our environment affects our fires, it affects our extreme heat events, as well as our extreme cold events. In addition to that, in our educational component, our website, which is right here, actually has all of the things that you need to prepare for wildfire. Family communications plan, an evacuation plan, a list about what you need to pack in your go bag, and things that you can do to harden your home. So Chief Cashie's team is going out and doing those defensible space inspections, and then you can go to our website and get information about how to deal with the soffits and having the appropriate vents to combat the ember cast and harden your home. The kind of vegetation that you put close to your home, whether it's fire resistant and actually drought resistant and things like that. The last is getting information out about how and when to evacuate. And there's 2 pieces to that pie. The first piece belongs to the sheriff, and those are the folks that actually make the determination that we're going to evacuate this particular area. And then once they make that determination, there's a recommendation that comes from CAL FIRE or the local fire area to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office designates an area, and then they begin physically evacuating them. The second piece of that is the alert and warning side, which belongs to my shop, OES, and that's when we traditionally push out the Calaveras alert notification, as well as social media, and follow it up with a traditional press release. Along with that, there are some unique features about our system that allow us to continue to notify residents. So if you download the Everbridge app and put it on your phone because you've signed up, if you wander into an area that has an evacuation, your phone will alert you. Where that's handy is maybe you live in Murphy's and you're driving to Valley Springs to go shopping and there's a tornado warning. If you go into the geofence area that we set up for the tornado warning, it would notify you that you're now in harm's way. And that applies for anyone that has the Everbridge app. So someone that maybe has a vacation home up here but lives in San Jose and is signed up through the city of San Jose, if they have that mobile app and they come up to their vacation home, they would receive those notifications. Sheriff, did you want to touch on the evacuation piece?
A little bit about what John just said. The sheriff's office doesn't actually decide what area is going to be evacuated. We rely on CAL FIRE. They're the fire guys, not us. So when they say, hey, and what Chief Cashy talked about earlier in the program was they have these models where they can watch and they can see which way the fire is going to potentially go. So what they'll do is they'll relay that information to us, and it goes back to the collaboration between the two of us, where I have one of my lieutenants who is embedded into the fire side of the program, so that lieutenant standing right next to him when those orders come out, so he can get that information to us right away, so we can send our guys out to start doing the evacuations. So we rely on the fire to tell us what areas to evacuate, because we don't know. I mean, if I see the smoke blowing that way, I know the fire is going to be over here, but I don't know what areas to evacuate. So we rely on them to do that. And then talking about the Everbridge, that's huge. And if you remember here a couple months ago, I brought to you the FM Alert program. I'm still working on that with John. John and I are working on that. He's actually working with the undersheriff to find some funding and find some other avenues to help that program. And again, all of these programs combined are just overlap. There's not one system that's going to work, because if you're in Mountain Ranch and the power goes out and cell towers go down, you've got no cell service. So the FM Alert program will help enhance that, because now you might get something off of the radio system, and we can talk about that more later. But it's all the collaboration between all three of us that makes this program work. That's pretty much all I got on that.
So one of the things that we rely on with the depth of our outreach and notifications is obviously our citizens being good neighbors. The example that the sheriff just cited, I have a generator at my home, so I have power, which will allow me to connect, and hopefully that I use that ability to be notified to notify those around me. Social media is a very interesting animal, in the sense of something like 78% of the population has some sort of social media. So we spread out on social media far and wide as we can, with the hopes that, again, the good neighbor component covers that other 22% or so of the population that doesn't have social media. We also partner with the ham radio operators to spread the word in the more rugged areas where you may not have cell service on a good day with power. So we try to cast that blanket far and wide. So that's the best, but the best way for our citizens to get notification is to go to the website that you see right there, and click on notifications, sign up for an account, and fill out the information. The unique part about that is it allows each of our customers to tailor the information to how they want to receive it. Do they want to receive it through their email first, their cell phone via text, or voice? Okay. And we would be happy to welcome any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Supervisor Stopper.
Not so much a question, but a thank you. Everything you're doing in response to these events is evident throughout the years. I see the cooperation and the tightening of the belt as you move forward ever since the Butte fire, and us learning from what happened. Not so much mistakes, but what we can do better. And just the response times and seeing how fast everyone works together between all the fire departments, CAL FIRE, OES, evacuations. As not that there was any fault before, but I see the response times really tightening up, and it's appreciated. Something that, so that's, fire is horrible, but that's the glorious part of firefighting. The unglorious part, and something that Mr. Cassie brought up in the very beginning is very important to me. It's being proactive. These 2,652 acres treated by you. But that's not all that's been treated. You have partners in RCD that you worked together with to be able to get them some grants through the state and move forward on things. I've seen the benefit in my district and not having all the benefits that the higher elevation districts have had. I still see the benefit there with what you did behind Lakeview Estates with the clearing of the brush there. You know, years ago down the Calaveras River on that side of Rancho Calaveras, we're working on something on Ross Drive right now with RCD. You know, so the 2,652 acres has been stretched. It's not, you know, it's your partnership with everyone, not just these three. And that's preventative work that prior to 2015, we didn't see as much of. But now, you know, with the realization with the state, the funds, the transition of CAL FIRE working on these things, I just really appreciate that work going into it, because those preemptive clearings are really saving homes and lives. Thank you.
Supervisor Garamendi?
Yeah, Ben, you took my pitch there, because I think Supervisor Stopper's right on. It's the partnerships that have really come after Butte Fire that I've been witness to. Everything has changed, and I think very much for the better. How we coordinate evacuations, we've learned our jobs better, how to stay out of your way when things are going on, and we appreciate being informed. And really, I really do want to agree with Ben and emphasize the prevention piece. You know, the work that the fires that you've controlled up country and preparing. I really do appreciate doing it at on the 49 band as well. These VMPs are going to be really important. They're not just important for safety, but they also make our environment better, get rid of those noxious weeds, invasive weeds. I think it's really important. And I really also appreciate the partnership with the sheep ranch that this board's been able to put together, and we're able to open that 150,000 gallon reserve tank on Friday at 10 o'clock, if anybody would like to come. That seems like sheep ranch is where some of these, we always end up staging. It's a critical piece of real estate for us to control. So I appreciate this board's contribution to making that happen, and the PG&E and then additional funds. So just really want to thank you guys and really appreciate the fact that CAL FIRE has our headquarters. TCU is headquartered in San Andreas. I think that's important to our county, and we value you guys being here.
Thank you.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, I want to thank all three of you for your partnership. Before Butte Fire, it didn't exist. Our OES, we didn't really even have an OES department, and it's grown immensely thanks to John and his diligence with grants and spending money locating money and finding money to be able to spend on it. And I wanted to comment a little bit on the defensible space inspections that CAL FIRE does. That's tremendous. Not only do you guys come out once, if they don't pass, you'll come back. You give them a set time and tell them what they need to do, and then you come back and re-inspect. And to me, it's been great. You've been out to my house the last 2 or 3 years, and I just turn it over to my insurance company saying I'm cleared by CAL FIRE, and they haven't canceled me. I've had my insurance, yes, very much so, just because of being able to turn that over, your inspections that you do. So it's tremendous. Continue doing it, I hope, for into the future, and maybe expanding on it so we have most of the county covered on residential inspections. So thank you.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that the public really understands that because of the lack of prisoners now, CAL FIRE is going to have a harder time getting inmates. So we need to, the public as overall really needs to step up their game to do their defensible space and get CAL FIRE to come out and take a look at their properties to make sure things are clear. When we talk about the evacuation tags, that's That's a big game changer for us, because it allows the deputy to go from, one house to the next, knowing that these people are gone. And again, the neighbor cooperation between neighbors is going to be very important to where, hey, if I'm leaving, I'm going to swing by and tell Jack, hey, Jack, we need to get out. And so that these people start putting these tags out, it's going to help us move through the system a lot faster. I want to step back here a couple years ago when Captain Ballard and our local fire guys were very they worked together to put a grid system together. What they were showing on that map system that shows what areas are going to be evacuating. That's huge. That's going to help everything that we've done. Again, all the departments, everything. This county works very well together. I know that. And I won't mention El Dorado County, but they have a problem with their other fire services and working with the feds and stuff up there. We work very well with our departments here, all of them, and that's huge. But it takes the citizens of this county to get on the Cal OES website and download those programs so that they know when this stuff is coming. They need to get prepared. It's just like going out in the snow. You get prepared because blizzard may be showing up. Same thing with fire. Everybody needs to be prepared, so it's imperative that we get that information out.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other comment from the board? No? Is there any public comment? I'll start with online.
There is no online public comment.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the room? Seeing none, I'll bring it back. Oh, hi, Corey.
Hi there. I did want to, I know I didn't make an announcement that I would speak, but just listening to this thorough presentation, I have to say that the Health and Human Services Agency is always on standby so that those working the front lines, in the streets, in the trees, have an ability to do their job without worrying about, do we have a mass care shelter? Do we have a temporary evacuation point? Do we have collaboration with the Red Cross? So I just really wanted to make sure that we close that loop on this conversation to say, we got you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and by no means did we intentionally leave that piece out, but again, going back to the original, the department heads and what they provide during an emergency incident, absolutely. What was just stated is essential. And those are the things that when we talk about the EOC and the support and all your department heads that come to the table, that's oftentimes overshadowed by the actual fire, but the actual community support, and can't say enough good things about what's been done with past incidents in that capacity.
Well, thank you. And I just wanted to say that there was no consideration on my part that there was an overlooking on that. I just was trying to say how much I appreciate Mr. Osborne, OES, of course, each of you who do the most difficult part of this. I really just wanted to accentuate how critical your work is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Is there any other comment from staff? Seeing none. Well, thank you for your presentation today. Thank you for taking the time to be here and present this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Can we take a quick 5-minute break to let? Okay, thank you. on agenda item number 14. Clerk?
Item 14, informational item, administrative office, board discussion regarding a letter of support to Governor Gavin Newsom for the temporary suspension of state of California gas tax.
Yes.
Ms. Bonmate?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Krista Von Latta, CAO. So further to prior board discussion and what we all, I think, can agree are escalating gas prices, we are bringing this item to you to get direction regarding whether you would like to send a letter to the governor, and if so, what you would like to be in it. I know that there have been discussions regarding potentially the state making some type of a grant or writing checks to people. We don't know what the status of that is at this point. It seems like it hasn't completely fallen off the radar. However, there has been no movement in terms of reducing the gas tax or even delaying or suspending the approximately 3 cent increase that is set to take effect on July 1st of this year. Other issues that, and I'll defer to Sheriff DeBasilio to speak for the Sheriff's Department, but were the state to make reimbursements to residents, it would not actually do anything to offset our county expenses. We have budgeted substantially more this year in the Sheriff's Department budget, maybe not even as much as will be required depending how things go over the next entire fiscal year. We're seeing similar increases in Public Works as well as, I believe, IWM. So with that, I'm eager to hear your thoughts.
So is there any board member that would wish to comment or turn it over to the sheriff if there's any additional feedback after the CAO that we should be mindful of?
Well, I think Krista said it, exactly. It's just the costs have gone up. Her and I discussed, my budget. And the amount of fuel that we do consume and how much more it's going to cost us this next year. I don't see the gas prices coming down. The amount of money I asked, she fell out of her chair when I asked for it to pay for the costs of fuel, but it's reality. And nothing against Krista. I think that a letter to the governor would be helpful. I don't know if it's going to do anything, and she was very correct in saying that if they do the money back to the public, that helps us all individually, but it doesn't help us as a county, and it's a huge cost. So all I can reiterate is what Gary said, yes.
And just, I do want to point out that there are concerns, and Mr. Packinger is here from Public Works regarding what might happen with our SB1 funding. Your board did have discussion regarding this letter potentially including a request that while the gas tax be suspended, that we also were to receive a credit from the state for that suspension in terms of SB1 and holding us harmless in that respect. Whether that's realistic or even something the state would consider, I haven't any idea, but there is a concern regarding those funding streams.
Only another thing that comes to mind are the LLPs that are going out, the road work, the cost of last year's bid for this year's work, how do we assist, that public works aspect of what our constituents are expecting to, and it's just one side of it. There's many, many other, what does it look for PSPS? How much are we going to be having to support generators this summer, especially with California looking for blackouts? I mean, there's some serious, it's going to be a huge overhead cost, and with electricity costs going up, there's really no feasible break that we are seeing, even if we wanted to do children aspects. So anyways, are there any, I think Supervisor Stopper had a comment? You want to? Nope? Okay.
Well, I believe that we should send this letter out, although I'm not very optimistic about what the response will be. I'm glad that you included the $45 billion state budget surplus in this discussion, because if they were to suspend the gas tax and the SB1, there is potential backfill there that the state could work with, Mr. DeBasilio had a very good point, and I want to make that clear, is the individual checks would benefit one individual across the state, which benefits us all in one way. But the cost to government and other entities across the state is not addressed with that. And at the point where we, even if it's a partial suspension of the gas tax, that would benefit every individual still, as opposed to the checks going out to individuals and every entity, whether it be, a truck delivery, product delivery company that drives trucks around. I mean, we have enough problem with circulation now, and gas prices are just driving that into the ground at the same time everything else is. So I think it's not just government, it's not just the individual. I think it comes to our businesses and everything else across, from top to bottom. So I'm in support of sending the letter out. I'm not optimistic about the response, but at least we say our piece.
Thank you. Is there other board members? Okay. We do need to provide direction, so does the board feel that they want to, knowing what Supervisor Stopper has said, I would not disagree or don't expect a response back, but is there support to give direction for staff to send a letter? And recognizing the items that the sheriff, Krista, Public Works, all the other departments that are struggling.
I'd like to hear from Robert, if he's prepared to say anything about what the effects possibly could be. And I'm with Supervisor Stopper on not really expecting a whole lot or response, but there is an increase of 3 cents coming up, and if we can at least hold that off. But what is your perspective, Robert?
Thank you. I'm the person kind of stuck square in the middle. I sympathize greatly with all of our residents. They have to suffer through this increase in the gas prices. It hurts everybody. We live in a rural area where our population is a whole lot more dependent on vehicles getting us around to work, to shopping, and all that kind of stuff. We don't have the same transportation opportunities that people have over in the city, so for us, we feel it quite a bit. And of course, as a consumer in my department, our costs are going up. Our contractor for wagon trails are already making preliminary inquiries and discussions regarding the cost of fuel that he has to face. And of course, in our projects that we do, that increase in cost is translating to an increase to our construction materials. But I'm also in an organization that our mission is to deliver these safe roads. And so I worry what this will look like, how this will affect, in essence, my ability to deliver the projects that we're supposed to deliver. In the coming year, it's expected that this RMRA funds would get us $3 million into Calaveras County for the paving projects that we do. So would our request to provide some solution for our residents, does that translate directly to perhaps losing the $3 million? It may not be that. We may not lose the $3 million, and I would hope that the state would be able to perhaps offer some of that money through their budget that they have, their surplus. But of course, all I could think of is what they used to tell me when I was a little kid: the guy that has the biggest throat's the one that swallows the most, and the ones that have the biggest throats are those guys in LA and San Francisco. And of course, if anything were to happen, they'd be swallowing up a lot of that budget surplus. But we have to do what we can to fight and somehow help our residents. So, of course, we all know that nicer, smoother roads is also better for gas economy. So I can tell you that it would be nice to have a nicer road. But so I'm in the middle. I'm stuck. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think one of the other things that's going to affect going forward, if it is suspended for any length of time, is the amount of money that CTC will have to disperse to counties and their projects. That will probably greatly be reduced. The last couple of years they've been able to, and we've reaped some of the money for our wagon trail project through CTC. Some of that money will be evaporating from, so.
Supervisor Garamendi?
I thank you very much for that information, Robert, and certainly our citizens are disproportionately, in my opinion, impacted because we have to drive. And, you know, there's no other option, so it impacts us directly. I agree with Supervisor Stopper. I'm not going to hold my breath that the state's going to care a whole lot what we say, but I think it's important to say it anyway. So I'll support this letter.
Okay, is there any other board comment? Supervisor Stopper? No?
Do you want to do public comment first? And then
Yes, I was going to do that, but I'm going to let you have that opportunity. Okay, is there any public comment?
Yes, Jesse Fowler.
Okay. Hi, Jesse.
Good morning. I just wanted to make the board aware that unclaimed gas tax actually funds quite a bit of our mandated agricultural programs. It's approximately $121,000 we receive every year, and it pays for about 30 to 40 cents on the dollar for the programs. So this would be affected. I read the letter, and I did see in there that you had mentioned that with the budget surplus that would cover programs, which I think is an excellent idea. But I just want to make sure the board was aware that we also benefit from these unclaimed gas taxes, which are part of gas taxes. So if you have any questions, I can answer. But again, just want to let you guys know.
Thank you, Jesse, for bringing that to our attention. Is there any other staff member? Okay. Any other public comment online?
There is no online public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Supervisor Stopper?
You know, before Ms. Callaway comes back to correct our grammar on a letter,
You want me to do it for you?
maybe you could work with Ms. Follendorf, and I would like to approve whatever you put forward along with administration moving forward. That's what my motion is.
So just to be clear, this is an informational item, so we don't need or want a motion or vote, but if, the board could just give direction to the CAO and then bring a letter back at next meeting.
Okay. Is the
You should have made it something we could vote on now while Ms. Callaway wasn't here to correct us.
I've been advised against voting.
Okay.
So it seems like there's clear direction. I believe that the CAO can get more information as needed from the Sheriff, Public Works, RWMA, Jesse, on any other relevant facts to build into that letter, and then bring it back to the board at the next meeting for us to vote on. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Put it on consent.
You know you're going to pull.
Put it on consent.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate the feedback. You too.
Thank you, Sheriff. Back door.
It was good having him as part of the team today.
It was fun. Next, we have regular agenda item number 15. So thank you, everyone, for your patience. The clerk will read out the next item.
Item 15, Resolution Integrated Waste Management. Adopt a resolution accepting the Calway 6.49% rate increase for contract year 2022-23.
This is one we should have waited for Marita.
Paul.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, Paul Ferriani with Integrated Waste Manager. I'd like Jack to come up and introduce himself, and hopefully the two of us can answer any questions you might have. Thank you. Good morning, I'm Jack Fiore with California Waste Recovery Systems.
So do you have any questions? Okay, there's a lot of questions.
How's the gas rate affecting you?
It's affecting us significantly.
Yeah, you run a lot of vehicles, it's driving costs up.
And it's, well, it's not the lion's share of this rate increase. It's a very close second to the lion's share of this rate increase.
Well, did you see the movie Back to the Future? Because you got a lot of garbage. If you had a truck stuff, you could.
We're this close to that solution, but we're not quite there yet.
I do have a couple of questions, and this, we met yesterday, Amanda and I met with Cal Waste and Debbie Ponte and Gamby. It's in the room too. And one of my concerns that I voiced yesterday had to do with the increases that are occurring per contract in consumer index, affecting the fixed income people that need the service, obviously, but as it starts going up the way it has, they can't afford it. And so you had talked about a program that is currently going on in the city for these people and what they had to do to get registered for it. Can you speak a little bit about that? And maybe we can have you and Dave talk a little bit with Krista afterwards on this program and what it would take for the county to get started on that program to at least send some help to the people that are on fixed incomes, especially the elderly people.
Sure, and that'd be great. I'd like to talk about that. So 3 or 4 years ago in the City of Angels, we agreed to adopt a program that was actually is actually the PG&E CARE program or CARES program. And I'm certainly not the most qualified person in this room to talk about it, but PG&E has a system where a resident can submit an application and with contemplating their income and some other factors, their household, they can be qualified or approved for a discounted rate. And I believe in Angels Camp it's 12% or 12.5% discount, something in that neighborhood anyway. The applicant, if I understand correctly, brings their PG&E approval into the City of Angels, and someone on city staff verifies the accuracy of it or the approval of it, and then we're notified that this resident at this address is eligible for this discounting program. As far as what we would have to adopt, it would be just some kind of an amendment that would allow the county to to, maybe through the auditor's office or somebody to approve these and notify us. It would be just another line on the rate sheet that would be an adjustment, some kind of a discounting factor for those eligible residents.
So you would do the same discount as PG&E gives them?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I would say we could probably use the Angels program as the model.
Okay. I'd like to at least, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but I would like to at least investigate and maybe go forward with some type of program like that.
Okay.
And then it would allow them to not only their PG&E bill, but their cow waste bill being reduced at least 12%. I think that would help tremendously to the fixed income people.
It's something, and it also, they've got some skin in the game because they've got to apply, and they've got to, I believe it renews annually, so they've got to bring in the renewal every 12 months. But nevertheless, it's something cooperatively that I think would benefit those that need it.
At least it's a program out there that's available to them. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I can certainly forward the program to Ms. Von Lotta today, and we can begin some discussion. Sure. Okay? Sure.
I asked Stacy to pull up a link for the board to look at. I was on the council when we made that decision and worked with Cal Waste, and I will say that it was a collaborative effort between Cal Waste and county city staff. And so I think what we need to be mindful of is when we do look into this, there is going to be some legwork with the county staff to check these applications. Can you bring the link up for me, please? So each year, individuals are supposed to register with PG&E and report their income through this site. And then what happens is once they've been approved through PG&E and they get their documents, they would then bring it into City Hall, and staff at City Hall would then verify, vouch it, communicate with Cal Waste about what for their own billing system, and then they would apply it. It does take legwork on the constituent because they do need to go through this, and it needs to be done yearly. So it will expire. There's an expiration date for the PG&E aspect, and the same then qualifies for the local government to verify. So if they do not bring it in, and the information is not then communicated from the city to Cal Waste, then Cal Waste will then send the bill with the appropriate rate that they would have normally got for everyone else if they don't get their time. So it is a conscientious effort on everybody's part. They just want to make sure that they're mindful from the board of the work that county staff would have to do as well. Supervisor Gamady.
Thank you. That's probably a broader item to talk about how we want to do this, but in that situation, I believe that the CPUC probably has funds to cover that for PG&E. I'm assuming that Cal Waste is not a charitable organization.
Yes, sir.
So somebody's going to have to make up that delta, that money. Would that be us, or is there another fund? Or
That would be us.
that would be you guys would make that up? Okay, thank you.
So if we can, quick, yeah.
Surprised answer.
I do, Jack is right, it does for a broader conversation outside of this, but I'm glad we brought it up because it's been a discussion, and it has been, the program's now going in its 5th year at the city successfully. So, anyway, so back to what is in front of us. Is there any other board questions regarding the item in front of us to Cal Waste and or to Paul? No? Okay. With that, I'm going to bring it out to public comment. We'll start online. Is there any public comment?
There's no online public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. I see 2 lights on.
Sorry.
No, okay. Supervisor Stopper?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
With that, we have a first and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, it passes on a 4-0-1. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Thank you, Board.
Yes. With that, we'll move on to supervisor announcements, and I will start to my left. We should have left the sheriff here to do announcements. Supervisor Garamendi.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Friday at 10 a.m., the CAL FIRE, CCWD, and the county are going to cut a ribbon on the new fire suppression water storage tank and sheep ranch. Thank you very much to the board again. I think it'll make our county safer. And so if you'd like to join Sheep Ranch, just go up this road and make a right. Eventually you'll get there. You cannot miss the event.
Thank you. With that, Supervisor Stopper.
Kids Fishing Day was a massive success. It started out a little slow, but, there were so many kids there and families. It was just spectacular to see. It was a little disappointing not to see Miss Calloway there. But, as we can see, she's not here, and she's got other things she's got to do at the same time. Ms. Fullendorf, you must have been down at the car show in Copperopolis, It was still disappointing not to see you there.
And
Mr. Toffanelli. I don't know what you're doing. I wasn't following you around.
You mentioned that I wasn't there, though.
I am now. Mr. Garamendi, thank you for stepping in. I appreciate it. I cooked over 203 dogs for the kids and parents and everything. It was a good time, big success. Hopefully we can get a larger plant next year. Some of the fisheries and are not putting out as much, so it's a little harder to get our pounds of trout for stocking right now. But
Fuel cost to get them up there.
For the kids, we'll pay it. But
to get it up there.
Yeah, just a true success. Thanks.
Vice Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Stopper. And I will say that I had a COG meeting on Wednesday evening, and then we came back on Thursday evening for a special COG meeting. The next day I had Mountain Valley MS JPA board special meeting, and had one yesterday, another Mountain Valley MS board meeting, a regular board meeting, and tomorrow I have to drive to Stockton, thanks to my good friend Amanda, for the Groundwater Authority meeting at 10:30 in Stockton at the county, new county office they built down there. And I want to say that last Friday I had the pleasure of going to the Calaveras High School and Bret Hart High School game in Angels Camp. I sat on the Bret Hart side. It was very nice. I met a lot of good people and a lot of nice people, had conversations with them. They were very, very friendly people. And I sat with the mayor for a while, Alvin, and I texted the District 4 supervisor and told her that I was in her district. And I got an immediate reply and said, I'll be there in 20 minutes. So she drove from Arnold all the way down there and sat with us for the rest of the ball game. And it was a very good ball game. Calaveras won. Go Calaveras! Yes, go Calaveras. We're very happy to report that today they start their first playoff game here at home. I'll be attending. They're playing Ventura Academy, and I'm very happy to report that Bret Hart also made the playoff, although they're in District 5 or Division 5, and they'll be playing on Linden on Thursday. But this is a very rare time that both Bret Hart and Calaveras have made the playoffs. And hopefully you guys can get out to see one of their ball games, either Bret Hart's or Calaveras. They should have another home game if they win today. They're playing the 15th seed, and they're number 2 seed. They should have another game on Wednesday, and it should be a home game. So, go Calaveras. Yes. Go Bret Hart too.
Hearing that from a red dot amongst purple last Friday. Congratulations on your grandson and how well he's playing this year. And, really, you should be proud.
I am
He's doing
very
a
proud.
phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Get Bret Hart to pitch to him.
Well, that's another thing. That was, it is what it is. And he's a very good kid. He wasn't upset about it, although parts of the crowd over there were pretty upset. But he wasn't upset about it. He told Grandpa that's the game, and that's what they could do. And, he was good. He's a good kid.
I too attended the COG both Wednesday and Thursday, along with a baseball game. Saturday attended the car show. Sorry, I just had to go see those mopars. And yesterday I attended a meeting with Cowways Gamby, Debbie Pawnee from Destination Angels Camp with Gary. So it's been a busy week for everyone, and I look forward to the rest of the month. We got Frog Jump, so here we go. If there's nothing else, we will wrap up, and thank you everyone for today. See you next week.